Out of the Business by the Tubes. What do I want to say? I was really sad to hear that Rick Anderson, bass player for the Tubes, passed away. I think it was a year ago this last December. Well, what did I want to say? Rick has always been on my short list of favorite bass players. And love the Tubes. We got to see him a few years ago at the nice old theater in Peekskill, the Paramount. And they did the completion backwards principle in its entirety. And then I think less than a year later, they came to Daryl's house, which is a great place. You know, great food. Great sound system. It's a small club, though. It's maybe 150 people you can fit in there. So to see the Tubes in a place like that was amazing. A fella I used to work with and his wife were there and were sitting next to us. And we just had a great time. They sounded great. I was lit up. There's a lot of stuff I could talk about. I'm not too big on meeting people, but at the end of the night, I think we're waiting for the check or something, and Rick Anderson comes walking out. Just the crowd had thinned out, and he just came walking out. I think going to like the merchandise table or something. I was like, well, I'm never gonna have this opportunity again. So I went up to him and introduced myself. Told him, he's, on my short list of favorite bass players. Kind of told him why, and he's the type of person. I don't say this is about a lot of people. It was as if I'd known him my whole life. He was just so friendly and outgoing, and I'd always known. Because Nathan East is credited on Completion Backwards. A whole bunch of outside musicians other than the Tubes are credited on those albums. So, I don't know who played what. But that's not something I would have ever in a million years brought up to Rick Anderson. But the first thing he said was that, Ready Freddie Washington came in and played some parts. I did some stuff. He goes, but basically I wrote the parts, and they pretty much played them how I would have played them. I think someone said Steve Lukather actually played the bass too on Talk to You Later. I don't know, but in my mind, Rick Anderson was always the guy, behind those bass lines. But I don't know what it says about Rick, but it just shows a complete what what's the word? Just such a humble person to just come out and confess, oh well, may not have played on this song or that song. To me, it just said a lot about the type of person he is. But we got here the best part of the story was, he asked me, he goes, is your name Todd or Tony? I said, no, it's Troy. He said, do you play bass with a lot of faces behind you? And I said, yeah. And he said, you play more Tubes covers than anybody on YouTube. And that was it for me. He made my, not only made my night, made my lifetime. That was such an incredible thing. I've written about this, but I haven't spoken about it. So that was it. We were just talking. We were talking about 20 minutes or so. Finally, and I wouldn't be telling this story if there weren't witnesses there. Lynn was there, and our friends were standing around too. So when I'm talking to Rick, Prairie Prince comes walking by, the drummer, and he must be a really tall guy. I remember looking up at him. He comes walking toward us, and Rick goes, hey, Prairie, this is the guy I was telling you about. And the look Prairie Prince gave both of us, it was just this total, I can't tell you, look of disgust on his face. But I thought it was funny. I started laughing. Nothing against Prairie Prince. He's probably a nice guy, but I was so happy to be in Rick's company. I could care less. But yeah, what a look he gave Rick. He was like, just get away. So Lynn finally dragged me out of there, and it's about 40 minutes from our house, Daryl's house. And I said, I bet when we're ready to leave, I said, I better go and use the bathroom quick before we go. And of course, I got talking to Rick again, and then Lynn came and dragged me out another 20 minutes later. But what a night! And I was really, really sad to hear. Well, I was kind of surprised to see in some pictures that he wasn't playing with the band for a while. So I don't know what happened. They never really gave a cause of death or anything. It was a quick illness. But I'll put the link to his obituaries, and the way they're written I find to be extremely accurate. A really accurate description of the type of person he was when I met him. All right, that's it. I'm gonna, whether you like it or not, just try and play along with a drum track. Here's Rest in Peace, Rick Anderson.